Arnaud, thank you so much for coming to the Executive Coffee Club. Really appreciate it. It's been more than a year that we know each other today. Very happy to have you. You are the Dean today of SKEMA Business School in Dubai at the IFC. So we're super proud to have you in the program, and we'll start by asking you a little bit about introduction of yourself, where you come from, and what you're doing today.
I come from France, such as SKEMA Business School, Lyon, in France especially. So my 3 kids were born in Lyon. I met my wife in Lyon, etc., etc. I still have an apartment there. And my background is curiously in political science. At the very beginning, I wasn't exactly designed to be a dean of a business school or even for a university. I did Sciences Po, Political Institute in France. Then I did a master degree. Then I embraced a political career as a political advisor. And actually not a lot of things done for me to be the dean of anything. I didn't know until I was 30 years old. Yes, I didn't know that maybe a career at academic level would be interesting. So I am here maybe by chance, by hazard, and somehow it's life, and it's I think it's a little bit compliant with the local mindset. The local mindset is okay, when you see an opportunity, take it. And I saw opportunities, I took them.
Very good. So I understand that you've been in Paris, in Grenoble, in the European Parliament. You've also been at the National Assembly in France, and you also be the chief of staff of the mayor of Strasbourg. So you have this background, as you say, political science. It's precursor to your kind of evolution and pivot career in the education. But if you look back at those days, what do you remember? I mean, what was part of your legacy there? What did you do during all those years?
In France, to be the chief of staff or the parliamentary assistant, etc., is at the crossroads. But the final aim is to make possible that the guy or the lady you are working for is finally elected or re-elected. So it's at the crossroads between building some insightful and meaningful public policies for the sake of the people, but as well to organize the communication, to organize some political things. I mean that somehow it's about communication. People have to be convinced, and it's very close to sales. Actually, you have to sell the ideas of the politician you are working for. You have to sell his or her personality. And this is basically what I did. Sometimes it's tricky, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it could be it could request some little bit of aggressivity, because political life is not something very calm, especially in France, especially nowadays. So I was first a seller, and I was selling some ideas, some projects. And when you sell some projects, you become slightly a project manager. When you are building policies, you become a specialist in public policies. And I really remember it because at the end of my master degree, I asked to have a scholarship to go for a PhD. And I was rejected. It was not very fair when I think about it, but okay, that's... and at 30 years old, I really remember I was the chief of staff of the mayor of a medium-sized city in France named Épinal. And after 1 year, the mayor told me, okay, it's too complicated between us. So he didn't fire me, but he advised me gently to find another job. That's what I did, and I went to the private sector. And in the private sector, I was dealing with the voucher industry. And that was exactly the subject, the topic of the project I had for my PhD thesis. So I called back my supervisor 10 years after, and I told him, okay, I am back. Is it possible to go for a PhD thesis? He told me, oh, let's go. Because it wasn't fair 10 years ago what happened to you. So if you want to do it, do it. And I worked on it during the 3 next years while working at the same time. And then I defended my PhD. I became a doctor in political science. Wow. And at that time, when you were a doctor in political science or a doctor in whatever, it was the time in France the business schools became to grow up and they needed to have some doctors. Some people with doctors to get some accreditations extra. And one of them in Lyon, the city I was living in at that time, told me, we can hire you as a professor, but they found out that I used to be chief of staff, that I used to be a general manager of big institutions. They said, what about creating the first bachelor degree program in France? Okay, why not? At that time in France, undergraduate business education, it was not very trendy. And I created with a very good friend the first bachelor in business administration in France. And then I became the deputy dean of this business school. And then, of course, Jack London, the call of the forest. At a certain moment, politics called me back, and I spent 3 last year as the chief of staff of the mayor of a small city close to Lyon. But while continuing being a searcher, being a professor, etc. at the same time. So this was exactly the crossroads. This is the moment I had my kids, I met my wife, etc. So it's a lovely moment in my career.
So you transition slightly and softly from political science and civil servant in a way to support elected people in charge of cities into the world of education, into the world of research. How did you get into the Gulf and the Middle East?
Once again, it was an opportunity. It's funny because so I became again a political advisor, but with a very solid, at this time, higher education background. And at a certain moment, I was contacted by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not even higher education, foreign affairs, telling me, okay, we might have a position because a very prestigious French business school named ESSEC, so if you know a French education background, a French education environment, it's a very prestigious business school. They are looking for someone to be the leader and the dean of their the French Arabian Business School, which is a joint venture they have in the Kingdom of Bahrain in the Gulf. Are you interested? Okay. Yeah. So I Googled Bahrain because I didn't know where it was. Really, it was and I was about to turn 40, and it was the 40 crisis. Yeah, the 40 crisis extra. I called my wife. Okay, she was in a boring job, and she told me, okay, why not? It's in Bahrain. Okay, for 2 years, let's go. And I signed. It was very quick, actually. I always wonder why they choose me, but okay. Don't ask questions when you wonder why you have. Yes, you are chosen. And 6 months after, we went with my 6-month-old daughter, my 4-year-old son, and my 6-year-old son in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And I was appointed as a dean inside a partner university named the Arabian Gulf University. Wow. I was not very good at English speaking, by the way, because I had always spoken French during my various jobs. And really, I had to learn everything at the age of 40, and it was a marvelous moment for me.
So Bahrain was, I think Bahrain is called the Pearl of the Gulf or something like this. Did you like your stay over there?
Actually, I liked this a lot, especially because the locals, the Bahraini, they are 45% of the population, more or less. They are actually working. Bahrain was the first of the Gulf countries to not to be able to rely on oil and gas at a very early stage. It was in the 70s. So they had to diversify. To survive, they had to diversify to create industries, tourism industries, but as well aluminum industry. For example, Aluminum of Bahrain is the largest aluminum smelter in the world. It's not very well known, but it's the case. It represents just this plant, this company represents 12% of the GDP of the Kingdom of Bahrain. An aluminum smelter. Wow. Who knows this? And actually, 95% of the employees of Aluminum of Bahrain, even the guys at the front line in the workshops, in the in the smelting industry, they are Bahraini, they are nationals. And really, you see them working, proud of the work they are doing, proud of the development they are bringing to their country. And it's always a pleasure to have those kind of relations, and you can get close to them very quickly.
Yeah. And obviously that gave you some flavor of the culture of the Gulf. I guess at that time you didn't stop doing research and some publications as well. So I think you crystallized your new path. And then came SKEMA. So SKEMA, just to introduce SKEMA to the people here who doesn't know SKEMA, can you just summarize what is SKEMA from a global point of view? And also, why did you come to SKEMA?
Yeah, at that time, so I'm talking about this, we were in 2017 when I came to Bahrain in a prestigious business school. And in the contract, I could only recruit some locals, so GCC nationals. So I had some Kuwaiti, some Saudi, and some Bahraini, sometimes some Jordans, but they were considered as Saudi, let's say. But so I had only Arabian students. And at that time, I was the only sociologist, the only social scientist to be in this country facing some locals, and especially some Saudi women, because it was in 2017, and for the first time I had some Saudi women. So the thing I did, I developed relations with them, I interviewed them, I published some scientific papers on them, extra. I wrote books on them. And of course, I was remarked in France. And after 5 years in Bahrain, after COVID, extra, I was contacted by other business schools, and one of them was a SKEMA business school. They told me, your profile is interesting because you are not a 100% business guy, business-oriented guy. We are developing our School of Geopolitics. We have an available position as the director of a master degree in project management. So it is at the crossroads between business and other things.
Yes.
So you could be interested. And we have a plan to develop in the Gulf later. And to be completely frank, I told my wife, what do you think about this? Oh, yes, good idea. And so we went back to France, close to Paris. And so SKEMA is a very particular in the landscape of French business education, because 15 years ago, it's a merger between a business school in Lille, the north of France, and a business school in the French Riviera. It's a merger, and at that time, those two business schools, they were around the 15th position in France. So it's that's a very big ranking, very, very smart ranking. But it's the genius, let's say her, of our founder, Alice Guillon. She was the first to do this kind of merger without non-direct competitors, because geographically, the north of France and the south of France, they don't really compete together. And the first thing she did, said, we are going to open our campuses abroad, because we cannot compete with the big threes in France only by staying 100% national. Maybe the big ones in France, they are not enough international. And at that time, it was really visionary to do this. We are going to open in China. Wow, in China, I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, going to China, it was not that easy. And in the US. So our first two campuses were opened very early in US and in China. And then our fingerprint was clearly that we are in the French landscape, the most international business school. So as a merger between two average ranked university, middle class ranked business schools, to raise up the scale, the choice was to go international. And so after China, after the US, we opened in Brazil, we opened in South Africa, we opened in a second campus in China, we opened then a research center in Montreal about AI. And recently, so last year, in September 2024, we decided to open here in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. Actually, I was aware of this when I signed 3 years ago at SKEMA. So I applied to this position, and of course, as I was matching a lot of the requirements, of course, they were looking for someone able to be the director, general director, the dean of a prestigious business school campus in the Gulf. It was basically what I did during 5 years with a slight success. So I was the chosen one. And so since September 2024, I have been part-time director and an academic dean, and then I am now full-time since July. So from September 24 to July 25, I was sharing this position with our vice dean, Christophe Germain. So he was officially here part-time, and when he was not here, I was here. So it was a rolling direction, and then now I have taken this position as a full-time one. So my family moved again. My 3 kids are now in the lycée français, in a French high school. My wife, she understood that the best way to follow me without staying unemployed was to become a professor. So she's now a teacher at the French school, teacher in French literature. So it's not very difficult to find some positions. And so we are living here as a family, and I try to develop this SKEMA spirit, which is very international. I mean that we have a lot of mobility students. So our students are recruited sometimes in the US, in France, etc. And they decide to move 6 months, 1 year, and even more in Dubai for very good reasons. We are going to talk about it, I guess. And for this second year of exercise here in September 2025, we decided to recruit some students directly from here. So now we have some first year students, 17, 18 years old here at the IFC. So it could be a little bit disturbing for some people. Say, oh, wow, they are very young. They don't look like the ordinary people we see at the IFC. And so it's their first year of school. They are part of our undergraduate program, the BBA program, and it works very well. And I guess that this program is about to grow up a lot during the following years.
Thank you. And that's the global BBA you're mentioning. So in a nutshell, that gives you the opportunity to say, to present SKEMA. So what is SKEMA today? So how many courses, how many students, what's the size of the campus? Is it a permanent campus? Is it a temporary campus? That's your opportunity to share.
No. So SKEMA Business School as a whole, because it's important, we are not SKEMA Dubai, we are SKEMA in Dubai. It means that our programs, all our degrees are French degrees. They are French degrees. Actually, degree, it's exactly the same degree you can have if you are in our campus in Paris or in the US, etc. So it's a French degree. I have been audited, by the way, by the French Ministry of Higher Education. They came in last January to see the way we were delivering exams, etc., to be sure that it was exactly the same conditions given here to our students that the one given in France or anywhere else in the world. So it's the first important point. SKEMA, it represents 12,000 students all around the globe, and our campus in Dubai, it's for the moment 200 students, split in 7 different programs. We have 4 master degrees, MSCs, one named Sustainable Finance and FinTech, one International Business, so it's the more general one, one named Global Luxury Management. We did it with LVMH because it's a double degree. It's a master degree, French master degree, but at the same time, LVMH is offering a certificate attesting that the students who followed this path is now a specialist in retail excellence and customer relationship management. And the last one is the Global Supply Chain Management and Procurement. It's a double degree with the MIT. So they have trainings here, and at the same time, they have to pass exams provided by the Massachusetts Institute of Technologies in the US. And then they get the French degree and the US degree.
So accreditations as well in the UAE, right? As well,
yeah.
HDA
and CAA. Actually, we have excellent relations with the local authorities because I have the idea that they are trying to attract some top-ranked business schools, and I didn't mention it, but from the 15th position 15 years ago, now we are in France between number 4 and number 5 position. And worldwide, some of our flagship programs, our Master in Management is ranked number 18 by the Financial Times. Our Master of Finance, the one we are going to open next year, the Financial Market Investment, is ranked number 2 worldwide by the Financial Times. And our Executive MBA, we are as well about to open I don't know exactly when, maybe next year, maybe 1 year after, is ranked number 5 by the Financial Times. So it means that worldwide we are very highly ranked, and sometimes our worldwide ranking are even better than our French rankings, because the French way to rank the business schools is very conservative. There is a rank for the top 3, HEC, ESSEC, USCP. We have very friendly relations with them. It's not an issue, but it's very difficult to compete with them in France. And this is why Alice Guillon, our founder, had this, and she's still our dean and general director, by the way, and president. She had this vision that we had to develop internationally to be able to compete with the best business schools in the world, and that's actually what we are doing here.
Yeah. And it's very important. And this program and SKEMA is coming at a time where the UAE is trying to bridge the gap between the end of the schooling, curriculum. In the past, a lot of people were leaving actually the UAE to go abroad to look for, higher education. Now, thanks to your efforts and other efforts as well, it's the new trend to say that basically for students who have been growing, or some of them were born here in the UAE, they can go to school and they can start their university in Dubai and to the world, because some programs are starting in Dubai, like the Global BBA. My son is part of that program. And after 2 years, the program includes potentially stay abroad in different campuses. So it's kind of bridging the best of the worlds, right?
Actually, the vision of the UAE government was to attract the most prestigious universities, business schools, and higher education institutions in the world. And I think we are part of this, we are one of the outcome of this will expressed by the UAE authorities and the Dubai authorities especially. So we are sharing this building at the AFC with other very prominent institutions. I can name them: Georgetown University and London Business School, for example. So and this reflects completely the will of the government to attract the best universities in the world. But why do they want to attract those universities? It's very simple. It's first to train a local elite to avoid them to go abroad. Actually, if you can provide the best possible higher education institution and the best possible business education here, you don't need to go abroad, and so you can keep your talents. And the second thing is that we have more and more expats kids, but as well local kids that just want to get the best possible education. And if we can provide them here without moving, it's even better. And I guess that the will of the government to make the UAE become a higher education institution hub in the world is completely relevant, and our strategy, the strategy of SKEMA, is completely aligned with this. If you listen to Alice Guillon, her project, my project for the campus, we have to hit the number of 2,000 students within the 5 next years.
So it's multiplied by 10.
Yes, multiply by 10. So obviously, we won't be able to put 2,000 students in this building. I guess that we will have to diversify our locations, etc. We will stay here because the AFC is really a golden location, especially for students, MBA students, MSc students, the ones who are looking for end of studies internships or junior positions, etc. It's very good to be here. However, for BBA students, bachelor students, or intermediate students, maybe some locations a little bit more far away, yes, a few kilometers ahead, it could make sense as well. But indeed, our will my will, but I guess SKEMA's will, is to stay as long as possible here, especially at the DFC, and to develop our implementation here in the UAE. 2,000 students. It's not. It's at the same level as our campuses in France, for example. None of our international campuses have already hit this number of students. So it means something. It means that our priority, the strategic priority of SKEMA nowadays, is clearly the UAE and is clearly the development of our campus of Dubai.
And some students in France can also benefit from part of the studies in Dubai, right?
But it's exactly what we are developing currently, because I don't like to say this, but you know that the job market, the economic growth, and the dynamism of the Western world, let's say France, but Great Britain, Germany, etc., it becomes grayer and grayer. I don't know if this expression is very good, but you know, the Western world is declining. I'm afraid to say this, and but our last strength is the quality of our higher education system. So we have very, very well trained students that want to grow up in their career, that have the will to work hard and to hit the summit as soon as possible, and to take opportunities. So a lot of them, when you tell them that they can finish their studies in Dubai, they can start their career in Dubai, in the UAE, in the Gulf countries, they are the first to come. And in France, we have as well some people from North African origin. I know them very well. They speak sometimes Arabic, etc., and they are highly motivated by traveling, by living here, by starting their professional life here. And it's a real asset that Dubai and the UAE could take benefit of.
So the age of the students range from students that are 18 years old until students that are during their professional career quite senior. It's all the range. If you project that into the campus, what would be the mix? Would be more the very young people exiting the schools, or a mix of everything?
It's complicated. My objective is to make that at the end, it's like a cocktail. In a cocktail, you could put the best ingredients and mix it, and the mixture will not the final outcome will not the final drink will not be very good. So my aim, I know that the number of very young students, undergraduate students recruited directly and locally will grow up. It's obvious every day, and not later than today. Today, I have 2 families visiting the campus. We are in November. I have 2 families visiting the campus with their high school kids because they want to register, etc. We have a lot of people, not only from French institutions, especially from English-speaking institutions. I talk about Heartland, James Wellington, all those international schools. They look at the rankings. They look at the Financial Times ranking. They find out that here in Dubai, you have one of the best business schools in the world that is able to enroll their kids. You know, when you have a kid, I have kids, you have kids as well, 17, 18 years old, are you ready to let him or her alone in Paris, London, the US, Canada, etc. during 1 or 2 years? My choice is easy. Just come to our global BBA. I keep them 2 years. I train them during 2 years, and when they grow up, when they are 20 years old, they can leave to one of our other campuses in Brazil, in France, in China, in the US, and then start their career path. But I bring them 2 more years of maturity, and I guess that when you are very young, when you are just when you have got your high school diploma, maybe you are not completely ready to go to travel and to start your studies 10,000 kilometers away than where your family is living. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that we are at the center of the DIFC, and a lot of managers, locals, Emirati managers, or even for other countries, they would love to get some additional trainings, additional master degrees, for example. That's the reason why we have opened this Master of Science in Sustainable Finance and FinTech. It's an executive master, so it's the actual French degree, but it was dedicated. We organized some evening classes for the employees and the managers of a very important local bank, starting by a E and with the NBD in the name. I not nothing. See, I cited none of them, of course. But yes, I had 22 students from this bank coming every evening, and now they graduate from a French master degree of one of the best business schools in the world. And we are going to reproduce this. We are going to do it again, of course. And maybe we are going to open our executive MBA. After all, if it's number 5 in the world, according to the Financial Times, there is no reason that the locals cannot benefit from it. Sure. So yes, so it will be a mix between very young students and executive students, master degree students, of course. So we will have some 18, 19 years old, 24, 25 years old, and above 30 years old students. And it's my role, clearly, as a director, as an academic dean, to make that this cocktail at the end is a delicious one.
So the courses are in English. There's no course in French. I mean, it's purely in English. So anyone can come, actually. And also, SKEMA is benefiting from a very strong alumni community, especially in the Middle East, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs and also executives everywhere in the UAE and in the Gulf that populate that. One of the things that I have been witnessing is a very large number of executives from the private sector come to introduce their business and meet with the students here. What's the philosophy? What's the mindset?
Actually, it's something I can take from me, because it's an invention I had. You know, Dubai is, and the DAFC especially, we are in the center of the economic of the Middle East, maybe of Asia, and somehow of the world. I mean that just before this interview, I was at the headquarters of Crédit Agricole Commercial Investment Bank with 10 of my students, and all the general managers of this, all the higher executive of this investment bank were explaining one by one their jobs, etc., to the students. And it was 100 meters ago. I came by walking, and I came back by walking to record this interview. It means one thing. It means that all the companies, they are at our doorstep. And when you ask a CEO, an executive VP, an executive from a company, okay, instead of having your coffee break tomorrow at 10:15, just cross the road, come in front of my 70, 50, 20, 30 students, and just try to explain to them what is your job, what is your company, and what are the opportunities you can offer to them. And this is important because one of the shortcomings of the business education today, even in the US, even everywhere, by the way, is that we are training very good students. They are very good at finance, HR, management, marketing, extra. But when it's a question of the knowledge, the global knowledge of the economic environment, they are not that smart. During a class starts at 9, then the professor is doing his class until 10:15. Then instead of the break, you have a guy like you, like a banker, like head of marketing of a luxury maison, coming in front of the students, explaining to them during 30 minutes, and then come back to the class. And for the Gen Z, the Generation Z, they have some, you know this, they have some difficulty to focus more than 1 hour. And so you just zap. You shift from a formal class and then to a complete stranger coming and talking about, okay, I'm going to talk about Louis Vuitton and the way we are trying to organize the retail excellence here at Louis Vuitton. And then it will be Air France. I'm going to explain you the air flight and of the French carrier and the projects of the French national carrier in the Gulf. And then you will have SLB, the pipeline and tube for oil and gas industry. And the day after, you will have Barclays, extra. So every day I try to organize this. And of course, the students, they love it because it's a thing which is far more difficult to organize in a campus in the US. You know, in the USA, for example, the campuses, they are far away from the cities. So if you want to invite a business leader, it will take him at least 1 hour to come. And even in Harvard, even in Princeton, the campuses, they are far away from the business areas. Here we are in the middle of the business area. If I call someone, he will come, and it will be a pleasure for him or her to come and explain my industry extra. And at the end, even the future bankers, I have a lot of future bankers in my master degree students, but when they have the number 2 of Cartier, for example, explaining them the luxury industry, when they have the general director of DHL, explaining them the supply chain management issues, when they have someone for Carrefour or the retail industry, it's very good because at the end of the day, they will have a more global knowledge of the economic environment. And that is why what we are expecting nowadays from a young manager. A young manager doesn't have to be over-specialized. And even if they think this is boring, I have a lot of girls, ladies, sometimes very interested in luxury management. And of course, when I tell them, okay, you will have a guy from Rothschild tomorrow. Oh, no, not again a banker. Yeah, of course. Even though you are not very concentrated when this guy is talking, at the end of the day, you retain something. When the general director of Google came here, not all of them are fascinated by tech. But at the end of the day, if they can keep 2 or 3 key insights from this, they know that Google has a regional headquarter here at Internet City. They know that Spotify, because I had the head of governmental affairs of Spotify, they know that Spotify, they have some missions here. They have to do this and this. And even though later they will work from, I don't know, for Hermes or Kering or Gucci or whatever, they have this knowledge. And to have a global knowledge of what the economic landscape is, in my opinion, it's something that other business schools, even the more prestigious, cannot do technically.
So for the viewers, if you are a professional in the field and you're interested to share, your professional expertise, contact Arnaud. Yes, and he will gladly open the doors of the school, so you can share your knowledge and practice with the students, which is very rewarding for anyone. Not only that, but also if you wish to consider some of the students from an internship point of view. Many of the students across the different 7 programs that we have are interested to work. Can you explain a little bit how it works? Is it mixed during the year? Is it during the summer? How does it work?
Actually, thanks to the UAE regulation, we are very flexible concerning this. All our students, they have an Emirates ID because they are students. So they have a student's Emirates ID. It works like this. And as students with an Emirates ID, they are allowed to work part-time or to have a full-term internship. So they could do more or less whatever they want. Of course, it has to be during after the end of the class, but they could take as well a gap year. For example, a bank, sorry to name them, but I have to name them because they were courageous enough. A bank like Natixis, they decided to take 5 interns from SKEMA. And they will start from January, during the 6 next months, from January to July. 6 of my students from the BBA program and the master degree program, they will be embedded in the Natixis commercial investment bank teams. And so all my students who wanted to work in the finance sector, now they have at least an internship. I had the same with the GL Events. Let's name them. GL Events is the French company who organized the Olympics game, the Olympics in Paris. So it's not a small one. I had a visit of their HR director. I have a visit with their CEO, and we have to take you interns because we have some specific projects extra. And it's completely possible to organize things, part-time internships, full-time internships, etc. I just have to sign a non-objection letter, of course, but then it's completely up to the companies. You will have interns coming from one of the best business schools in the world, located here with an Emirates ID and without any restriction to work for you.
Very good. How do you see at term the evolution beyond what we said already about multiplying by 10 of the campus here in Dubai?
It's complicated because we will have some, of course, some local recruitment, a lot of local recruitment. But as you know, as far as SKEMA will grow up in the rankings, we will be attractive to other parts of the world. I think about South Asia, for example, a lot of elite people from India. Now they see that SKEMA is not far away from their country. It could be a good opportunity then to develop their knowledge, maybe to spend 1 year in France, 1 year in the US, and come back to Dubai, etc. So we become more and more attractive, especially for Asia, and some from African elites as well. So we can imagine as we say, the local crown prince, the sky is the limit for us. But we will have, of course, some local recruitment. We will train some Emirati, because I guess that we are completely aligned with the vision and with the strategic vision of the GCC and of the UAE especially. So we are aligned with this. But as well as now we are booming in the world rankings, obviously we are going to be attractive for people who want to have a very prestigious degree and to launch their career in a very booming economy.
What makes the difference between SKEMA and other universities?
Actually, the most important thing is our internationalization, our globalization. This was the inspiration, the genius inspiration of our leader, Alice Guillon, when she decided to merge those two business schools. It was 20 years ago. But when she decided to do this, I'm sure she was imagining that one day I will talk to you in Dubai. But she wasn't, of course, she was followed by other business schools, but not at that extent. And now we are still the leader of international business schools. Even in the world, there is not a lot of other business schools in the US, in Great Britain, etc., with so many locations. And when they have locations, they are not providing the same degrees. We are the only one to provide our French accredited degrees by the Ministry of Higher Education of France everywhere in the world. If you go to our campus in North Carolina, Raleigh, or in Nanjing, in China, or in Suzhou, at the end, you will get the French degree. And this is maybe the real thing. We are international and we are united. Our motto is at home worldwide. It's not just a slogan. It's just the fact that actually wherever you are in one of our campuses, the degree is exactly the same. The exams are exactly the same. The exams for us, they are at 5 p.m. in the evening, in the afternoon. Why? Because they are aligned at exactly the same timing, to avoid the cheating, of course. They are students, than the ones in France. In France, they are all gathered in some lecture halls at 2 p.m. and in the UAE at 5 p.m. So it is the guarantee that the final evaluation is exactly the same. And then it's a platform. And so the correction is done by other professors. So they don't even know who is going to correct their exams. And as a corrector, when you have, as a reviewer, when you have the copies, you don't even know if the guy is from South Africa or Brazil or Dubai. So this is the guarantee we offered to the local government and to the French government that our degrees are strictly the same.
And the faculty, so you have professors visiting from France and all over the world, but also you have some professors coming from here locally. So how is the mix going?
It's a pleasure, because at the beginning, I'm going to tell you, the people in France and in Europe said, you will have some difficulties to find some very talented people here. It's exactly the contrary. I am overwhelmed by excellent resume, especially in the finance sector. Just imagine that two CFOs of very big banks will be my professor of international finance for the master degree students next semester. I hired them directly. Those guys, I cannot have the equivalent in France, for example. And they are currently CFOs of very big banks. I won't name the names of this bank, but you can imagine in the DAFC what kind of banks they are. They will share themselves the class of international finance. Okay, if you are trained in finance by the CFOs of worldwide banks, of world-leading banks, you cannot imagine better. And yes, indeed, it's not very difficult to find people with PhDs, with really research experience here. So yes, our faculty is, local faculty is growing and growing. And at the same time, Dubai is very accessible. It means that we are just 6 hours by plane from Paris. So my professors, my faculty members coming from Paris, they come from Paris on Sundays. From Monday to Friday, they are teaching during 18 hours, let's say 20, 21, 24 hours. Then they come back, and the next Monday they are in France teaching as well. So yes, the fact to be in the center of the world is a huge advantage, actually.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Rapid fire. A few questions about different topics. So one question about one aspect about the Gulf that you value very much.
Optimism, clearly. Especially when you are like us from the Western world. In the Western world is declining, and so people are very pessimistic. It's just a fact. I don't know what to say, but you have a lot of books about this, and people are pessimistic. Here, people are optimistic. Even though the situation is not that flourishing, the economic situation is normal. But people, they want to participate. They want to be part of it. They want to be part of the future. Even someone, a labor, a cleaner in the street, etc., he has in his mind a dream of prosperity. He knows that during his lifetime, he will have an opportunity to thrive. Even a cleaner in the road. In France, in UK, in Germany, it's not the case anymore. The society is blocked, and we don't know how to relaunch it, by the way.
Yes.
And here, yes, optimism.
Optimism, that's really a good one. So you are also teaching yourself, right? And the question was one principle you always bring into the classroom.
To be connected with the industry. We are a business school. We are not a department of sociology or psychology or anything else. Nothing against them, of course. We are a business school. So stick to the ground, stick to the reality, and stick to the local industry. It's very good to have an outstanding level in microeconomics. Nothing against economists, but at least it has to be illustrated by real case examples. And if it's possible to have a guest coming to illustrate this, to make a business case, a case study, it's perfect. And here in Dubai, you have plenty of those kind of examples.
About vision and contribution. So if you had to choose one area where you want to contribute most to the UAE future through academia, what would it be?
I'm going to not be completely aligned with the global vision for once. Here we are full of numbers, of statistics, of things like this. The quantitative vision, if you look at the vision, but even in Saudi Arabia, even in the rest, they are very statistics aligned. I am first a political scientist and a sociologist. My researches are based on qualitative things. I'm doing interviews, and I try to dig into the minds of the people, to understand the culture, to understand the mindset. I invented the term of Arabian modernity. It's the way to become modern while keeping the identity. This is more or less what the UAE is doing. But I just want to introduce a little bit of qualitative research based on the kind of things we are doing now. Interviews to find the roots of this society, and to find how to maintain your roots and being technologically very developed. And if I can bring something, it will be this sociological mindset, even though sociology is maybe not the future of the world, but it could be the future of business if you understand a little bit the local mindset and how this mindset is evolving.
Of course. So it's worth saying that you are a researcher. You're also a writer. You have written a series of books. I can cite two that are really prominent. The first one would be Women, Muslim Managers and Integration à la Française. And the second one would be Woman is the Future of the Gulf. Without going into too many details, can you share with us maybe why are you focusing on those topics and summarize for the audience a little bit what you take out of those topics?
Yeah. So why? Because I was there. Actually, it's absolutely not my specialty. I'm not a gender study searcher. It was absolutely not the fact I was designed for. I'm a specialist in public policies. But when I came in Bahrain in 2017, I had a lot of Saudi female managers coming to be trained in the executive MBA. I was the dean of, and they came. They were 30, 40 years old, something like this. And it was the time when all the positions were open for them. And some of them were very nice with me, and I interviewed them, I recorded them with their consent. Of course, everything is signed, everything is anonymized. And I was the unique witness with a sociological background, with a political science background, of this huge change. It was live in 2017. It was the time when the Crown Prince was appointed, when he launched the main reforms concerning female managers. And I was talking to some ladies telling me that a few months ago I was not even I had no right to talk to a man that was not in my family publicly.
Yes.
Yes, I was not allowed to do this, and due to this reform, now I have been appointed in a position, and now I have to manage 50 men, 50 male managers, 50 male employees. And I am discovering this live. And it was exactly the moment when culture, religion, modernity were at the crossroads, and I was exactly in the middle. I was training the future leaders of this country. It was Saudi Arabia, but Kuwait, Bahrain, etc. were not exactly in the same situation, but etc. But this very fast range, fast pace change, I was there. So as I was there, I took benefit of this. So I made 50 different interviews with some random ladies, not higher education, upper class lady, but middle class Saudi ladies who wanted to enter the job market and who were in my master degree because they wanted to raise up the scale. So I found out that it was working very well due to the guidance of the plan of the Vision 2030, but it's the same more or less in on the Gulf countries. And I found out as well that by doing all the same thing without coordination, they participated in changing the mindset, because what my counterparts in the West were saying in France, that yes, but you can change the law, but you won't change the culture and the mindset. But actually, by behaving in a certain way, those female managers changed completely the local mindset. I am writing a second book on this now. I interviewed 30 female managers 5 years after, asking them the same questions. And what appears obvious is that the mindset has changed, and now the problems are more gender equality, issues between men and women at work, the same kind of things we can find in the West, etc. So the culture, the fact to have leaders, female leaders in Saudi, in the UAE, etc., is now completely accepted, and it took a few years only. Do you realize? In the West, it took decades, it took centuries. Here, this is what I call Arabian modernity. By keeping your culture rooted, you are able to adapt your mindset, to adapt your culture, and to say, okay, welcome, ladies. If you want to be leaders, just be leaders and work on it. Of course, it's not that simple, but it's more or less the same. And it is what I call integration, because they entered a world, the job market, that was absolutely not designed for them. They it was prohibited for them, by the way. And from day 1 to day 2, it was completely open, and it worked. And it's what I call integration. What do you have to undertake to be to comply with the job market, with the particularity of this job market? And I did a second one based on the daughters of the first generation of immigration in France, of North African immigration in France, the ones who became managers. Because of course, they were from very poor families. If you know the history of French immigration, it's more or less this. And the second generation reached some managerial positions and some higher education degree at the same pace and as the French society. So it was exactly the same. If you look at the percentage, the number of women of the second generation of North African immigration in France reaching some managerial position is the same as the national average. So it means that in one generation they managed to do the integration job. And it is the reason why now we don't even remark them in companies. You have a colleague named Fatima, a colleague named Mohammed, etc. And you don't even pay attention to this because they were able in one generation to go through this integration path. And actually, I tried to understand if this integration path was more or less the same as the one used by the Saudi ladies. Was it difficult with your family? What was difficult with your local culture, etc., etc.? And you have a lot of similarities. So that's the reason why I wrote this second book. And the final book is Les Intégrés, the integrated, because I mixed the male cohort, the female cohort, and the Saudi cohort, and try to find and to redefine the term integration in sociology. And really, because in the West now we tell the immigrants, the migrants, they are not integrated enough, etc. But it's used for political purposes. But if you go in a scientific way, in a quantitative way, you find out that actually integration worked. Integration worked, and now you have a lot of people from immigration origin, or sons or daughters of migrant people, that are succeeding without difficulties. Of course, they are facing difficulties, but at the end, they reach it, and they achieve this final goal.
So you have documented a lot of those evolutions, and you could see that those countries, even in France, but also in the Gulf, there is a very strong evolution, intersecting, evolution, society, from a society point of view, from economic background, political background, and also from a business background. So you're monitoring that, you're doing research, you're writing books, and you have a print and an influence on the education of the students here. So what do you think people will remember of your work in about 10 years?
What I really hope is that they will find out that finally integration is not that difficult. It's not that difficult, and we had some time to let people integrate themselves without over-helping them. It's very counterintuitive because in France, for example, the most public policies in favor of integration you are launching, and the most difficult, the integration path, is sometimes you have to let the nature play its role, and someone different could integrate without a lot of difficulty in a different background by conserving his culture, by keeping his culture, by keeping some insights extra. But at the end of the day, if you let people integrate in a society, it could work very well. And in the UAE, it's a completely straight example. Why in one of the most diverse societies in the world, and everything is smooth, everything is nice, but you have to be very rooted, to know when you come from, and to have some rules, some very strict rules. And sometimes, yes, to have some rules, to have some law enforcement, it could help a lot to the integration path. And I see what is happening in the West. In the West, we don't have a lot of rules, a lot of law enforcement. We let many things happening. And at the end, if it's open, if everyone could do whatever he wants, at the end, the integration path will fail. So what I want to be retain is that sometimes it's better not to take care of, not to overtake care of integration, social things, etc., and just to create a framework, a very strict framework, and a very strict path of integration. Last thing, what I say about France, but it could be said about many other countries, is that nowadays, a complete stranger coming to France, no one will explain to him what it is to become a French and to be part of the French culture, what it is. And no one knows this nowadays. We knew this in the past, but we don't know anymore how to say this. If you come to the UAE, if you ask how it is to be part of the UAE society, you will have dozens of people ready to answer you, and to answer you in a very strict way. Where does this country come from, etc.? You will be explained. And whether you like it or not, you will have to accept it.
Arnaud, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was very inspirational. To be continued, right? A lot of work to be done. Merci beaucoup.